Hello, women of the Channel Leadership Network. I'm Jacquie Rives, your community leader, and welcome to another Woman of the Week. This week, I'm very excited for us to get to know Maheen Mirza, Senior Sales Director with Dell Technologies. Hi, Maheen. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. And thank you so much for the opportunity. And it's great to meet you.
It's so great to meet you too. I am very excited to get to know you. So, we're going to start off with the icebreakers. So, where do you live and where did you grow up, if that's different?
Yeah, absolutely. So I live right outside Washington, D.C. It's definitely been interesting to be right in D.C. over the last couple of years. I'm about 45 minutes out in the Northern Virginia suburbs, but I grew up completely different oceans away. I grew up in Pakistan, in Asia, and came to the US at 18 to go to college.
Wow, that's amazing. I wish I had had the opportunity to go to other countries when I was younger too. I mean, I'm sure it was a little scary, but probably also very exciting.
It was no curfew.
All right. Well, what is a little known or perhaps a fun fact about you that you're willing to share with us?
Absolutely. So I actually ended up meeting my husband in college, and he's from Bangladesh. So he was also from a different country. And both of us graduated. He's 3 years older than me. So both of us graduated around the .com era. So we decided we got married. We have no children. We have limited responsibility. We can make do with little money. So we started our own .com company, which was
Mm.
very formative. It was very exciting. But advice, if I had to give anyone, was building a house, starting a company with your husband when you're 22, 25, and newly married. Not the best of ideas, but we survived. So it's all good now.
Yes, that's amazing. It's an extraordinary story, really. And I'm sure it taught you a lot at such a young age as well.
It did. It for sure did.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it set you up for what was to come on your career path, or at least gave you some foundation. So perhaps tell me a little bit about your career path and how you reached this wonderful position with Dell.
Yeah. I like to say that it started off with a little bit of luck. And I think that's true for everyone when you're graduating college or high school, wherever you are. It starts off with a little bit of luck and then it becomes what you make of it.
Mm.
Me, we ran our company for 3 years. And then when the .com bust happened, we obviously shut it down because we ran out of money. And we like to say that we went out to get real jobs. My husband decided to go back to school. I decided to figure out what I wanted from a real job. A friend's insistence, I ended up going to a job fair. And at that job fair, I essentially talked to a federal systems integrator, a small company. They were only $1 billion in sales, so relatively small, got an interview, and then ended up getting that job. So having no technology background, I think that being at that job fair, having a conversation in regards to my capabilities and how they might align to the role that we're looking for was a little bit of luck because they took a chance on me. But what
Mm.
for 10 plus years was everything that kind of came after. And what came after was the ability to lead with and without authority, because obviously when I started my career, I didn't have anybody working for me, and the ability to adapt and lead through change. Because I think in these times, and especially right now with what's happening in the technology industry, change is inevitable. And then obviously building a strong network, which is probably the theme you're going to hear from me throughout the interview.
Yes, all such great advice. And gosh, that's so interesting. I love that you took the encouragement of your friend and went to that job fair. It's always so crazy to me, like these little moments in our life where we could have said no, but we said yes, and it just completely changes the trajectory.
So true. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, have you ever questioned your abilities in qualification?
I think the short answer is going to be yes. And quite honestly, I think if anybody says otherwise, then either they're not self aware or overconfident. Because I think if you don't question your abilities or your qualifications, or you think that you know all the answers, you're probably not in the right role. So we shouldn't have the imposter syndrome because trust me, I have it. I don't want to impose, but I assume you have it too. I would think that
Yes.
everybody around us has it. And I think that is what keeps us active in regards to making sure that we are striving for more. For me, the game changer in my experience was realizing that I did not always have to have an answer when somebody asked me a question. The ability to go back and say, you know what? I do not know the answer to this, but let me get it for you was a real game changer. We don't need to know all the answers or have the experience to know all the answers. But I do think that what differentiates you in your career is going to be the ability to get that answer and to get that experience. I've been in the industry for about 20 years right now. And of course, I draw on my experience, but I'm still very, very curious. If I'm going to meet you in a room, I'm going to ask you about what you do. I'm going to kind of try to, in my mind, connect the dots on what you do and what I do and how I can help versus how you can help and put that away in my brain sometime. So then when I do need it, I can go out actively and get it. So I can't say this more than enough. Imposter syndrome is real, but what we make of that imposter syndrome is what defines our career, especially for women.
Yes. You kind of brought me back to my younger self when you said, it was your moment was being able to then say, I don't have that answer, but I know where I can get it, or I will go follow up and I will get back to you. I share that sentiment with you. I will say that in the beginning, I just felt like that just pressure of knowing everything all the time, but being so young to not realize, like, wait, that's impossible. No one has the answers to everything. That's why collaboration is so great and teams are so great and what makes us unique as individuals. And just bouncing off what you said, that continuous learning is what helps, drive us to get to the next level. If we didn't and we knew everything, boy, life would be boring.
We have to look for a new job.
Yes, it would be so boring. All right. Well, let's go with how did you reach your level of success given the gender gap?
Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but even in this day and age, I've been at Dell for about 13 years, and I like to say I have had three unique jobs at Dell. Until 4 years ago, I was in end user sales. And like I said, it's unfortunate that even in this day and age, sometimes I would be the sole women leader in a room surrounded by men, all ages, right? But surrounded by men. When I moved to a
Mhm.
panel, it became a little less like that because we do have some great leaders in channel. Denise Millard, our chief partner officer, is a woman. There are other leaders in the channel that you can work with and network with. So it has been really good. But I still remember the times where I was the only female leader in the room growing up at Dell. I like to say, though, I've never looked at myself from a gender inequity perspective when I'm going out to get a job. And I do think that I have been fortunate that great leaders hire on capabilities versus gender norms
Mhm.
because they want to make sure that they hire leaders who can have an impact on a business. However, what becomes important is as a woman leader, you have to find a forum to be able to show those capabilities because there would be times that you would not be in the room, right? Whether
Right.
course, whether it's in the locker room syndrome, whether it is in after dinner activities, etc., you're not present all the time. So you have to work harder to make sure that you're communicating on what those capabilities are. I do not let gender, like I said, define my limits. However, I also have to work harder with all the negative connotations that I believe come when you're a women leader. And quite honestly, it sometimes comes more from women than men. And I think we've done a really good job in the last 10 years in having the message through forums like this to uplift each other versus
Mm.
compete with each other. Because I
Yep.
don't think men do it as deliberately as women do it. And I think we've made a lot of changes in the industry in the last 5 to 10 years, but it's something that we need to keep recognizing and keep doing, right? Because
Yeah.
it's the only way that it's going to change in the workplace.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. And then bringing full circle back to how you started, recommending having that solid networking, finding good sponsors and mentors to help build each other up, or, just being able to, now that you're in those rooms, you're able to, bring names into the rooms that aren't in there now, just paying that forward. So
very much.
Maheen, it was so great getting to know you. I could talk to you all day. Alas, this is it for now, but let's definitely keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for joining us and allowing us to celebrate you as our Woman of the Week.
I appreciate it, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, community members, please comment, give Maheen your high fives, share your insights because the conversation was never meant to end here. So until next time, have an amazing week.
Thank you. Goodbye.